Welcome, champions, to a new era in Rathe. For too long, the path into the world of flesh and blood has been shrouded in mist, a daunting challenge for even the bravest of new heroes. But no longer. Prepare to arm yourselves, for today we pull back the curtain on the ultimate starting point, the foundation on which legends will be built. Get ready to meet Demo Deck Bravo, your new Learn to Play deck. Hello there, my flesh and blood friends, and welcome to the channel. Now today I have the absolute privilege of previewing the brand new Learn to Play tool, Demo Deck Bravo. Demo Deck Bravo is a new player pathway product to be used at conventions and events, and also available free from your local game store. First available to the public at Gen Con this weekend, it will start arriving at our local game stores in August. Now in today's video, we're going to see what's inside, and then after I'll chat briefly about my takes on this. I do believe this to be very well thought out and put together, and now that I've run several games with this with my partner, I do want to talk some issues we ran into and how we need to adjust our teaching and coaching accordingly to use this to its fullest potential. So my friends, let's crush this. Hey there, my flesh and blood friends. So today we have the absolute privilege of being able to preview the brand new Learn to Play vehicle. This will be available at LGSs and conventions and all that for bringing on new players, and that is Demo Deck Bravo, featuring Bravo, the Flattering Showman. So the plan of attack here, you can see there's tokens in there already, but the plan of attack here is we're going to open this baby up, go through it, look for some new stuff, and then I do want to go and do a breakdown, look at all the pitch values and kind of the whole strategy overall. This is very exciting. First eyes on this. So obviously we have Bravo, Flattering Showman. We've seen him, and he will be featured. Oh, we have a weapon. So, oh, it says just weapon. Okay, so this is a placeholder for your weapon for this demo game. We're going to keep things simple and play without a functional weapon. Okay, but we also, it looks like, yeah, we have an armor suite. So do you remember the previous kit, which was the Aria deck? Did not have equipment in it. It did have a weapon though, which was Blossom of Spring. Which was her sword. But we have Iron Rot Helm, Blossom of Spring, Crackerjacks, and Iron Rot legs. So we do have a full, just kind of functional equipment suite. Remember, Crackerjacks is the next attack action you play gets +1 Blossom of Spring, and then we have 2 onboard armor. Very cool there. All right, so here we have a new card, Knock them off their feet. Crush, when this deals 4 or med damage to a hero, tap them. It's a 4 crush, which will work very well with Bravo's ability. So, okay, 3 copies of Knock 'em off their feet. We have goody, oldie but a goodie, 3 copies of Debilitate. Oh, I see Thunderquake. We have, oh, just 1 copy of Thunderquake. 2 copies of Crash Down. At the start of your turn, destroy this next Guardian attack action you play gets +6. It's from a previous set. Oh, now we're into the yellows. Okay, 3 Buckling Blows, yellow. Okay. Ooh, okay, here we go. Clash of Mountains. So when this defends a Guardian attack, defends against a Guardian attack, clash with the attacking hero, the winner creates a Seismic Surge token. Right, so keep in mind that in demo battles, you're going to be playing against the other, your opponent will be playing the same deck, so you would be using that quite frequently within the confines of your learning. We have Disable, 3 copies of Disable. Okay. Flatten the, so do note just the 1 yellow. Flatten the field ×3. So this is a blue 4 crush. Cost 4 with 6. So this is actually, and there's a common. Yep, that's right. That's actually pretty relevant. So when this deals 4 or more damage to a heal, destroy a Seismic Surge token they control. Okay, so really only relevant against other Guardians for the most part. So we have 3 of those. We have Grind them down ×3. So when this deals 4 or more damage to a hero, destroy the top card of their deck. This is Crush as well, but this is a 3 for 5. Right on curve. There's the new Macho. It's making it hard. Sorry, these tokens in the back are making it hard to hold. So we have Seismic Surge ×4. These are the mini rippables with -1s. Everything you're going to need. Only the 2 -1 counters. We have Macho Grande. Oh, just 1 of those. Okay, so that's going to be... Right, folks are going to be looking for that. That's kind of neat. We have Reinforce the Line ×2. Okay. Nice. Kind of a D-react of sorts. Obviously, it's not a D-react. It's an instant. We have a Crash and Bash. 3 copies of that. And this will be the last set of cards in the deck. This is a Guardian block. When it defends, you may reveal a card with Crush from your hand, and if you do, create a Seismic Surge token. That's pretty cool, and that's a block 2 on a blue pitch curve. We've got a info card for more information with a full Seismic on the other side, and then a -2. -2. That's interesting. Okay. And then we have, so that's for Debilitate. That's why. That's for Debilitate. Makes sense. And then we've got a Seismic, with another Learn to Play on the back, and then another set of tokens. So definitely everything you would need in the full sense. All right, so let's look at this in terms of the pitch. So we have 9 reds, because with the balance there, we've got 3 yellows. And then for the blues, we have, with those 2 balancing out Macho. So 1 Macho for your kill shot there. Teach you a little pitch stack, not to get too aggressive and come out of the gate. Maybe set up your Seismic Surge. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 18 blues for a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for a total of 30 cards. So we do have some newbies coming out, presumably, in Mastery Pack Guardian here very shortly. And that rounds out the deck. So in terms of the pitch stack, remember, or I shouldn't say pitch stack, I should say pitch breakdown. No weapon. So from a learning standpoint, you're not just sitting and grinding and pitching weapon, which will force folks to not overblock because they'll want to be able to play cards from their hand. I actually think that's a pretty wise tactic all in all. And then of course, folks will want to be using Bravo's awesome ability, which is action for 2. Turn a face down card in your arsenal face up. It has Crush, it gets +2 and Dominate. Go again. So you're of course going to want to be blocking, saving back, kind of push, pulling, taking a turn off, setting up, and then going with Bravo Flattering Showman. So very cool there in terms of what the deck looks like. Looking at, again, some of the cards we've seen. At the time that this video is coming out, we may have spoilers for a lot of Mastery Guardian at that point. But obviously we've got some brand new cards from that set in here as well. And then obviously with Bravo being a Guardian, this will provide a phenomenal jumping off point for folks to really go do a targeted set and start expanding their Flesh and Blood journey if they enjoyed playing the game. So there we have the deck. Thanks for joining me as we go through this. And of course, friends, go Commando. So there we have it, folks, the full reveal of Demo Deck Bravo, and I really want to thank Legend Story Studios for the privilege of being able to bring this to you. It means a lot to me as someone who focuses on both budget content as well as new player onboarding type discussions, that I was allowed to be the one to bring this to you. So thank you for that opportunity. Now what I want to do for the rest of today's video is kind of talk, the deck itself, some things I'm really impressed about on it, and then also relate my experience over the last after the last week or so playing with my wife. Now, to put it into context, my wife has played Flesh and Blood before, but it was about 1.5 years, 2 years ago when we were headed to Queenstown. She wanted to be able to speak intelligently about the game, so I set her up with a dash deck. So that was her original intro to the game, and she hasn't really touched it since. So bringing her back to the game with this, yes, not from a ground zero point, but from, you have to stay on top of Fab to remember how it works, even doing costs and stuff like that. So not from zero, but pretty new in the grand scheme of things, okay? Now, as we get into this, it is very important that we acknowledge this is very different from the Ira deck in terms of construction, and I really think even in terms of concept, right? So the Ira Learn to Play deck is what we'd had for the previous 5-ish years, actually a little more than that. And it's very easy, I think, in our heads to relate them as being the same, but I think that these are very different. And when I look at the Ira deck, especially with that weapon onboarding, it's more about learning the mechanics. It's more about teaching the mechanics of pitching and tacking and the combat chain. That's really more what, when I see the Ira deck, I get out of it. When I look at Demo Deck Bravo, I see not something that's teaching the base mechanics as much as something that's teaching the fundamentals of how to play the game. And by that, for example, let's use the 1 copy of Macho Grande. Having the 1 copy of that, having the 1 copy of Thunderquake, it puts you into these like situations where I believe they're trying to teach you pitch stacking and going in game. I don't know how often you'll get to a full cycle within a demo deck type situation, or within a demo type situation. I don't know if you will get there or not, but I think this deck goes beyond more than just like a player's first game or two. I think a player can use this to actually like learn how to play the game from a little more strategic point of view. Now, kind of to that end, one of the things I was very excited about out of the gate when I opened this was I was like, oh, this is great. You saw it in the intro or in the opening part. Wow, no weapon. That's really cool. And I was very excited about that because I was like, I think this is going to avoid kind of the pitfall a lot of us fell into very early on when we were learning, which was like, you don't want to take damage, so you block a bunch and then you swing weapon, right? And I didn't, I liked the idea of not having a weapon to kind of avoid that like fatigue type in-game scenario where folks are just like, swinging weapon at each other, because I don't think that's very fun for a new player to come into. So I really liked that idea. However, when I was playing my wife, in a couple of games, we ran into this issue where she had a 4-drop in her arsenal, and she was so low life that she had to block 3 cards. So this was in, I think, 2 games where she was stuck effectively. She'd block 3 cards, she'd have 1 in hand, but it wasn't enough to play the card she had in arsenal. And she ended up basically not doing anything for 3 or 4 turns until I was finally able to set up my over the top to put her down. And I think that if you're a brand new player trying this out for the first time at Gen Con, a convention, something like that, I think that might not be the greatest experience for them. So I'm actually encouraging folks to maybe, when you're at your LGS and teaching folks, try it with a weapon, try it with no weapon, and then also maybe have a weapon that they can use to slide in and kind of teach them that, depending on where they are in their gaming career. So I think that's something to evaluate, because I don't think you want to put folks in this situation where they're just blocking, they can't do anything, they feel trapped. I don't think that's a very fun first experience. So just consider that when you're teaching folks in terms of the weapon. Again, that's what I ran into. That's what we ran into. Okay. Now, some really cool things about this deck. I really love the inclusion of Knock 'em off their feet. This card serves a great purpose, because if you think about what are we fundamentally trying to do in this deck, we are trying to put something in arsenal and set up the thing with Bravo, which means you need the thing in arsenal that costs 4, generally in this case, and then the 2 blues in hand, right? So you give them 2 cards to block. They could have the 2 blues with which to do the thing, come over the top. Maybe you pop some stuff, maybe you don't, whatever. Okay. So that card, the fact that it taps on hit, is really neat because it makes the opponent kind of really think about how they're going to do this. And if you can, knock them off your feet with a dominated Bravo, even though they're prepared to come back, they would have to take the hit. That's where the armor comes in of learning that, or reinforce the line comes in. And I really like the experience of what that card can do, because both of you playing the deck into each other, you're both trying to do the same thing. And I think that knock them off your feet, forcing the tap or threatening the tap, is really neat and forces a lot of learning interactions that probably wouldn't come up otherwise. Now, there's a lot of other interactions there too, in terms of like the blocks and the seismic surge and stuff like that. We did find it hard, at least in the games we were playing, to really have those come up. The one that comes up often is Clash. Like you end up blocking, it's a Clash of Mountains. You end up blocking with that one quite a bit and clashing. That one's a pretty neat interaction in terms of getting the surge. But keep in mind, by that point, they've mostly set up their next turn. So a lot of times we found that seismic surge wasn't actually all that useful, because you had already decided to like keep 2 blues. And if you didn't win that clash, you were screwed anyway, so you weren't like planning for it. So a lot of times we did find that seismic surge was not super, super relevant. But I do think as we get more and more reps with it, and to be fair, I don't, if someone wants to play 6-7 games with Demo Deck Bravo, maybe they're probably going to want to move and try something else along the way. But I do think that there's definitely some growth paths there in terms of, trying to get Macho Grande to the bottom and finish with that, setting up the seismic so that you can do that off of 2 cards, whatever it may be. But again, I think that a lot of the includes in this are really, really, really smart in terms of guiding them down a path of learning the game versus learning just what cost and pitch and attack and defense is, right? If that makes sense. So overall, I think that this is a really good delivery vehicle for mechanics and for upskilling. Whereas the Ira deck before, I think, was mostly just kind of like learning how to do things. This is not only learning how to do them, but then how to do it better. So that's my take overall. And again, some of my advice from just our quick learnings playing this deck over the last couple of weeks together. So anyway, that is my piece for today. Thank you all for joining. Let me know in the comments what you think of my thoughts, what you think of the deck. And if nothing else, remember, these will be coming to our LGS in August. Go get them, use them, enjoy them, and onboard people to our great game. And if nothing else, my friends, go Commando.